One race, $2 million. One venue, 2 months. Rigs and rigging. And a big Danish project. Plus, Dee Caffari brings us Docktalk. But first,
the Sailing Olympics in Marseille delivered the usual roller coaster of emotions. It's hardly surprising. When the stakes are that high, there are as many tears of joy as there are of despair. The chances are you already know the results. But do you know what was going on in the background? Andy Rice does. He was there in the thick of the action in Marseille, where he was perfectly positioned to comment on the results, the gossip and some of the controversies. During the games we caught up on a regular basis, so if you want to hear the inside track, follow the link above, below or use the QR code. Meanwhile, just to the west in Barcelona, the clock continues to count down to the start of the 37th America's Cup. And after years of planning, along with hundreds of thousands of hours of design and construction, it's time to get real. If you've been following the Cup, you may be wondering why things seem to have gone quiet in the month before. The reason was that the joint reconnaissance programme that all the teams were obliged to sign up to finished at the end of June. Since then, teams have continued to be testing and training on the water, but there's been no shared video footage of them doing so. As a result, it's difficult to know how the teams are shaping up against each other. In fact, it's tricky for them too, as the rules prevent them from lining up with each other. The rules say that they have to be several hundred metres away from each other and can't be on the same tack for more than 20 seconds. Having said that, I'm pretty sure that they will have taken the opportunity to find out what they can. In the meantime, what's in store? The Cup schedule starts with the preliminary event at the end of August. This is 4 days of match racing, then a final between the top 2 teams. While this event doesn't count for points in the Challenger Series or the Cup, the Kiwis get to race against the challengers, which helps both sides get an idea of what they might be up against. The Kiwis also get to play in the round-robin phase of the Louis Vuitton Challenger selection trials, but then dip out once it gets to the knockout phase of the semi-final and the finals. Then of course we see them in the Cup itself. So in simple terms, it's preliminary regatta this August, Challenger selection in September and the America's Cup in October. Plus we have the Women's and the Youth America's Cup events in this month too. It's going to be a packed 2.5 months and we're going to be there for the entire event, reporting on each step of the way. Now, if that's whetted your appetite and you fancy heading down to Barcelona to see it for real, and I strongly recommend that you do, you might want to do it in style. If so, here are 2 ways that you could book yourself a very special experience in Barcelona.
Hello, my name's Lee and I'm part of the team on board La Fenice, and I'm here to talk to you today about our premium America's Cup experience. Berthed in Marina Port Vell, guests will be able to fully immerse themselves in the dockside pageantry of the Cup. We are located just metres from some of the teams. The day starts on board with a champagne buffet reception and a briefing given by an experienced AC sailor who will explain the intricacies of the day's racing. For those who wish to, we can then decamp to our 2 chase boats. Our chase boats will get you far closer to the race area than larger boats to witness the sheer speed and power of these amazing racing machines. This is as close to Cup action as you can be without being a team member. As La Fenice is part of the America's Cup Super Yacht programme, her chase boats have access to a restricted area immediately adjacent to the racecourse boundary. However, if you'd prefer to remain in the air conditioning on board La Fenice on the dock, we will be streaming the entire day's events through the America's Cup channels. Once racing's over, it's back to La Fenice in Port Vell and a debrief on the day's racing from our America's Cup host. Relaxed elegance, serving Catalan wines and canapes comes as standard on board, as does the first-class personal service and attention to detail from our crew. So what makes La Fenice different from other America's Cup offerings? La Fenice has the America's Cup in her DNA. She is a unique piece of America's Cup history. Launched in 1962 as Diadem of Dewlish, she was designed by Laurent Giles to be the support boat for Tony Boyden's 1964 America's Cup campaign with the 12-metre Sovereign. We would love to welcome you on board La Fenice in Barcelona for the 37th America's Cup this summer.
Hi, it's Lucy from LV Yachting. It's one thing to watch the America's Cup on a big screen, but it's quite another to experience an AC75 whizzing past at 45 knots. As part of the America's Cup Super Yacht programme, we have a designated viewing area on the edge of the racecourse. Stella is a stunning Swan 82 that can offer an unrivaled experience for the America's Cup. She has a modern contemporary feel with an air of luxury, offering exceptional comfort and style. She comes with 3 professional crew to look after your every need. Equipped with a 5G mesh network, widescreen smart TV and Bose sound system, she has the latest technology to bring the race commentary and analysis direct to you on the boat. Stella has a confirmed berth in Marina Port Vell, located in the heart of Barcelona. This offers the perfect vantage point to immerse yourself in the America's Cup. Stella will be within walking distance of the New York Yacht Club American Magic Base and in prime position to watch Team Alinghi and Emirates Team New Zealand on the dock. Stella can host 12 guests for day sailing and can accommodate 6 guests sleeping on board in 3 ensuite guest cabins. Our chef Suzanne is passionate about cooking, and her style of cooking has been inspired by her extensive travels. She likes to work with fresh seasonal ingredients sourced locally. The food will reflect the area and can be tailored to your preferences and dietary requirements. We look forward to welcoming you on board Stella this autumn for the 37th America's Cup in Barcelona.
In SailGP, San Francisco is the big one. Not only does the event mark the end of the season, but it does so by offering a $2 million bonus to the team that wins the final race. The Australians, led by Tom Slingsby, had won all 3 previous finales. Each season they'd pretty much dominated the racing, but not this year.
Big contact. What? That was unthinkable there. Oh my
major
word.
damage.
Major damage.
By their standards, Season 4 had been a shocker. Yet despite breakdowns, crashes and points deductions, they still had managed to stay second in the overall points going into San Francisco. The Kiwis had won more events than any other team in Season 4 and had a guaranteed place in the final. While in third, it was the Spanish, just 5 points ahead of the French. And with 5 fleet races ahead of the $2 million finale, it was clear that A, nothing could be taken for granted, and B, there was going to be plenty of attention focused on the French and Spanish.
So 40 seconds to go before the start of race number 1. Stevie Morrison looks like Spain's going to be the last ones to enter into that start box. This could be a strategy, and we'll see how it plays out.
It looks like they're lining themselves up with the French at the minute, so really aggressive early on from the Spanish.
We were expecting the French to come out fighting, but nothing like this.
Great Britain at bottom of the line, well positioned. Australia, they're a little bit out the back. Are they going to find a gap through there? The French look like they're up and foiling with 14 seconds to go. France needs a good start here and they're well positioned. Spain struggling towards the bottom end of the line. This is the favoured place to be, but you've got to be fast at the gun. 4 seconds to go. Let's look for the timing. United States at the top.
Ooh, France!
Really well timed, but the French have absolutely nailed that. They're on the inside. It's a short run to Mark 1, so the French, if they can keep it under control, will lead at Mark 1.
While the Spanish had a shocker. After their blistering start, the French never looked back and took the first win. New Zealand and Australia were down in 4th and 5th.
What a start for the French, absolutely perfect, and it all came from a really good execution at that start line itself.
In race 2, the French did it again at the start, and so did the Spanish.
Clear start, superb work. France again have found a way through. Brilliant by Delapierre, but he's now in a sprint with New Zealand towards Mark 1. Brilliant from Delapierre again. What a start, 2 for 2.
But this time the French made mistakes and dropped from the top, leaving Slingsby and the Australians to take a victory.
It's Australia that wins race number 2.
Race 3 saw an unbelievable start by the French, who ducked the entire fleet to grab the leeward end of the line.
Have the French nailed this 3 for 3? It's going to be clear. Whoa, it's so tight. Spain have got to stay clear there. USA, great start. Denmark, great start. But France again on the inside. Can they accelerate fast enough to get to Mark 1 in the lead?
Giles Scott and Hannah Mills executing to perfection there. They will pick up another position as the French drop back to 3rd. That's good news for the Spanish.
And while Delapierre's team came 3rd, they were now leading the event. In this position, they could make it to the final. All they had to do was keep doing what they were doing. But in race 4, the wheels came off the bus.
Nail this manoeuvre. Can they get inside that circle? I don't think they can. They've got to keep
Too
clear.
close, too close.
It's going to be a crash. Oh, no.
We got a collision.
It could be a capsize. Oh, they've managed to invert the wing. They're going to be okay.
Heading into the upwind gate, the French, who were coming in on port and the giveaway boat, misjudged a tack underneath the Danish team. Tacking late and hitting the Danes, the French broke their rudder. With no way of repairing the boat, and with 8 penalty points, they were out. Their chances of the finale were blown. Thankfully, no one was hurt, because it could have been so much worse. Meanwhile, the Australians had taken another win. And in the final fleet race, they showed that it was no accident, taking the lead and staying there.
They turn the boat down, and it's going to be Australia full pace. I think from there they're going to be in a drag race with Rottwell, Denmark.
Look at the speeds approaching 90 kilometers an hour as they come up on mark number 1.
Australia are stretching away, and I think often this sailing world and any sport is about momentum, isn't it? And right now the momentum is with the Australians.
The weird thing was that by the end of the race, and given all the drama of the previous 4, the top 3 teams that would go into the finale were the same top 3 going into the event: New Zealand, Australia and Spain. With this in mind, it was tempting to assume that normal service would resume and that this would be a match between the long-time dominant Australians and the season 4 frontrunners New Zealand.
Would have liked to go on with a little bit on that last one, but you know, we've been pushing the boat super hard, trying to find the edge all weekend. So it's really comfortable with where we're at and looking forward to getting into this final race.
And at the bottom of the line, here comes the black foils. Who's got their timing right? They're all going to hit the line fast. Spain's so fast at the top of the line.
But when it came down to business, it was Diego Botin's Spanish team that had the upper hand, with a start that couldn't have been further from their opening performance on the previous day.
The season 4 grand final is on as they approach mark number 1, and it is the Spanish out in front. The first time they have led a race here in San Francisco, and they picked the perfect time.
From there, they were chased hard. Very hard.
Perfect manoeuvre, but it's so tight. Oh, this was one turning mark at the bottom of the course here. Spain, they take the right turn. They're going to go round, but New Zealand execute a nice turning. Advantage New Zealand at the moment.
Slingsby was sure they were going to get past them.
Okay, the Australians are going to want to try and keep this. They're going to set it up after the next manoeuvre. They'll try and manoeuvre away first and then rely on their boat speed to get round the Spanish.
Slightly higher motor. They're a little bit slower than Australia, but they're sailing a shorter distance up the course, and that's just to get a tactical advantage over
They missed the manoeuvre.
But the Australians tripped up, while the Spanish never missed a beat and took the $2 million race.
Here comes Australia. They make the turn, and now it's a drag race to the finish line. Can the Spanish get it done? They've got 100 meters to go.
Come on!
And they will get it. Vamos España. Spain claims season 4.
Vamos de Gallas.
I cannot look at this. It's not describable. I cannot describe the feeling now. Such a big pump of adrenaline and trying to slow it down a bit. But yeah, it was an amazing race. We nailed the start. And yeah, we managed to keep a gap. We were lucky because we broke a rudder or something in the last downwind. And yeah, but we managed to stay in front, and yeah, I can't describe it. It's amazing.
What a win, and what a year to do it for Spain. Tennis, football, And now, SailGP.
Work hard, keep the kind of pretty uncomfortable shoe, I'd have said anyway.
It's taken a while for composite rigging to filter through from extreme Grand Prix machines into the broader racing spectrum, but it's clear now that the switch is gathering pace. Amare ropes have been producing PBO Xylon standing rigging for 20 years, and while they have supplied thousands of custom cables for high-end projects, they're seeing an increasing trend towards retrofitting boats with conventional rod rigging. They say that when comparing the same stretch characteristics of Nitronic 50 rod, their composite stays are just 80% lighter. And where every kilo saved aloft can mean 3 to 4 kilos saved in the keel, reducing the weight of standing rigging can deliver huge gains. Aside from the weight savings, the stays are also easy to handle and roll into coils, making shipping and maintenance far easier. And when it comes to cost, Amare claim that their stays are around 40% of carbon standing rigging. The double-handed round Britain and Ireland race is widely acknowledged as being a tough one. The 2,000-mile course that starts and finishes in Plymouth is guaranteed to deliver a wide range of conditions, while the tactical and navigational demands around this complex coastline are relentless. CEO and founder of Sevenstar Yacht Transport, Richard Clabbers, and his friend Peter Harima knew this before they started. Handling Harima's Swan 56 with just the two of them was a challenge as well. A broken gooseneck could have forced them to retire, but a resourceful approach that required a great deal of ongoing repairs got them through. And while thumping their way around Britain might seem a long way from his day-to-day work shipping boats all over the world, there's little doubt that taking on a challenge like this is a hands-on experience that puts the logistical challenges at work into perspective. Zhik are very proud of their latest range of Event OSF 800 ocean gear. The development program involved 25,000 miles of testing at sea with IMOCA 60 sailor Jon Rishon reporting back from his offshore trials. Their new 3-layer fabric has a bi-component membrane and was created with Events Fabrics, a leader in military-grade breathable membranes. But the key to the new material is the combination of good breathability and being highly waterproof. In addition, moisture-wicking linings draw sweat away from the skin, which is particularly good in areas where the material touches bare skin, such as around the neck and the cuffs. Keeping dry here reduces the risk of chafe, something that is especially important offshore. Add in abrasion-resistant panels, their hydrovision hood and a visor, along with a long list of features and details, and it's easy to see how much effort has gone into the development. It has been 40 years since Diverse launched their Load Sense range, and clearly a lot has changed in the racing scene in that time. On the face of it, one rigging pin may look much like another, but it's easy to misunderstand just how much has changed when it comes to load monitoring. Today, their range load pins spans from 30-footers to 300-footers, with a load range from under a ton to 250. Monitoring systems have become more sophisticated too, but one thing that Diverse have stayed set on is hardwiring the load pins rather than going for the wireless data transmission. They believe that a wired load sensor avoids the issues with signal interference that can be caused by carbon construction and carbon sails. Data rates are better too, and they believe that a wired system is more reliable and robust. So while much has changed in 4 decades, some things have remained the same.
Now, the sharp-eyed among you may have noticed a wardrobe change and a new logo. Nice, isn't it? We're delighted to be able to announce a new supporter, Henri Lloyd. As one of the oldest in the business, they need little introduction. But this is a big year for the company who've been operating for over 6 decades. As you may have seen from our features earlier this year, they've spent a great deal of time and effort going back to basics and creating a completely new collection based on some of the key designs that made the company so famous. They've also been very busy in the cup world too, where they're an official partner and technical clothing provider for Ineos Britannia, and continue their long-running relationship with Sir Ben Ainslie. And it's not just the crew that are kitted out. All the support crew and non-racing team members are wearing the new range that's also available to the public. They've also just announced a new partnership with UKSA, one of the largest sail training centres in the world. So if you want to know more about the new range and how they're focusing on responsible performance with a growing list of PFC-free products, or perhaps you just want to know how you could be wearing some Ineos Cup kit, use the QR code here or check out the link in the description below. In the meantime, thank you very much, Henri Lloyd, and welcome aboard. In recent months, as Cup teams have launched their AC75s, there's been a great deal of focus on the various hull shapes. Foils have drawn attention too, and understandably so, as these are clearly key elements when it comes to performance. But so too is the rig and sail plan. With double skin mainsails and rotating D-section masts, there's plenty of new technology aboard an AC75. And as you might imagine, designing the ultimate rig package is complicated. Southern Spars have supplied masts for Emirates Team New Zealand, Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Orient Express Racing Team, while Future Fibres have supplied the standing rigging for all of the teams. So what's at the heart of an America's Cup rig, and why are they such a technical challenge? I called up Kevin Batten from Southern Spars and Future Fibres Marco Sevilla to find out.
First thing, when you look at them, they're full rotating masts, and the masts have two mainsails, the twin skin as it's called. So there's two tracks on the side of the mast. That two sails are hoisted up at the same time, and they're basically joined at the leach of the sail. This mast has no backstay. It's got 5 stays that hold the mast up, a 4-stay, caps and lowers. So a lot of the mast control has got to be done through the structure of the mainsails and the cutting them to get the bend going. So a lot of challenges of that to get everything working the way the team wants it to work.
As I understand it, the mast tubes are one design, but that's not the full picture, is it? The masts themselves aren't one design. Give us an overall view of what the rule says.
Yeah, that's correct. So the masts are one design component, but in saying that, they're built to the same tolerances. There's the width of the mast, and there's a plus or minus, I think it's 3 millimeters tolerance you're allowed. So the tools have to be very, very accurate. You cannot reduce the laminate, that is the one design laminate, but you can add to it. So every mast, I would assume, is different. I looked after Luna Rossa in the last campaign, and I looked after Alinghi in this campaign. So people change laminates. I have no idea what other teams have done. The shear web as well, there are small tweaks you can do to that, and the mainsail track, the main locking system, and the control of the sail, the camber and what have you, is all team design. The Cunningham system and tracks, how that works, is all team design. So the fittings are one design. So if you look at the spreader fittings, look at the headstay tang, the jib lock, the little gant line at the top of the rig that to get a man up and down the mast, that's all one design, and that's all that we make all that in New Zealand.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, Marco, it's clearly from what we're hearing from Kevin that the spars are, even though they all look the same, there's a high degree of customization there. Is that the same for the rigging?
No, completely the opposite, actually. The rigging is one of the 2 items, if I remember correctly, from the rule that are strictly one design. So that means all the cables are exactly the same, built to the exact same tolerance, specifications, etc. Yeah.
And why is that then? Why aren't teams allowed to, do you think? I know you're not the rule maker, but I just wonder why teams aren't allowed to customize their rigging.
I think it has to do a lot with trying to simplify what is already a very complex rule or project. The way you sail the boats can drive the loads, dramatically. For example, we saw in the previous campaign how Luna Rossa were the first team to start sailing around with no backstays. Until that was prohibited by the class, we could immediately identify how, as you remove the backstays, the whole sail plan works differently, and in other words, the cap shrouds had to work harder, and therefore the loads changed. So now for this campaign, backstays have been completely removed, predominantly due to the fact that since once the boat takes off and it's in foiling mode and sailing at high speeds, through the mainsheet tension and through the jib cunningham and the load sharing between the cable and the head sail, you have plenty of adjustments to actually control the sag, and therefore you don't necessarily require any backstays. Backstays contribute to drag, so that was one of the main reasons why actually the boats decided to remove them. So as boats get faster, apparent wind angles get narrower, it makes more sense that now you need to kind of match the aero package with something that is going to help you reduce drag, as much as possible. So from our testing on a typical monohull sailing upwind, let's say, the improvement in drag that you get from an elliptical section is up to 70% less drag when it's orientated in the right direction. And the other thing that we've learned is that we kind of always seem to only worry about the windward side, but it's in fact on the leeward side where you win and lose the most, predominantly due to the effects of the headsail trim. So obviously, as you sheet in the headsail, you basically have localized apparent wind speeds on the leeward side that are higher than on the windward side. And the alignment is also different on the leeward side compared to the windward side, meaning that it actually realigns itself closer to the yacht center line. So that's why you actually win and lose most on the leeward side, and it's always recommended to keep it parallel with the yacht's center line. Yeah. The standing or the lateral rigging, the lowers and the cap shrouds are built with our Aero Razor, which is a solid monolithic shaped to an elliptical section. And then for the headstay, for example, we have a different product, which is EC6, which the main difference is that the core fibers are built out of individual multi-strand rods.
Kevin, when you look at the development of America's Cup rigs over the last 20 years, would you say that this particular cycle, maybe not this year, but the AC75s have been one of the most ambitious periods for the Cup when it comes to rig design?
So yes, because when you think about it, there's no other twin skin around that's mainsail around that's being used, and it's a massive step up from where we've been back in the day of the version 5s boats with one mainsail and non-rotating masts and everything. So it's a big forward.
So given that it is such a big step, what might these rigs or the designs or the knowledge that comes out of this Cup cycle, what might that do for the sport elsewhere? Is there a trickle-down effect from these rigs?
I think there'll be a slow trickle-down. We have done a foiling catamaran that is 70 feet long, and that mast is cooled as well. It's a rotating mast. It's not a twin skin. So there's some trickle-down effects from what we've learned in building those with the core and trying to build them light and strong. And then you look at moving forward, and I'm sure someone will decide to try and do a twin-skinned mainsail for a non-America's Cup boat. So just have to wait and see if that eventuates.
The good thing about the rigging is because it's purely one design, there is nothing to hide really, when it comes to speaking openly with the team. So there is always very good feedback that you receive from every team that we can then bring across, to our day-to-day customers, with conventional monohulls or multi-hulls. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's been a fascinating chat. Thank you both very much indeed for taking the time to hook up and drop in. I know it's not been easy. We're all in 3 different parts of the globe, it would seem. But anyway, the wonders of Zoom and being able to have a chat at the same time. Thanks very much indeed, and good luck.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Earlier in the year, Danish yacht builders X-Yachts announced an ambitious new project designed to take them back into the heart of the racing world. We reported on this in our Düsseldorf Boat Show special. Racing's where the company came from originally, so it was easy to see why they were so excited about the plans. In fact, so much so, they're documenting the development of their new XR41 with a series of videos. Here's the first one.
The idea behind the XR41 is getting back to our roots and our DNA.
Make a race boat that performs very well, but also that it has a dual purpose.
Sailing fast is a must.
A lot of solutions are completely new. You only see them on the XR41.
So it will be really interesting to see the first day on the water with that boat.
There's nothing comparable, I would say.
In the last 15 years, we haven't really produced any races. We've mainly been focusing on performance cruisers. But the whole idea of the XR41 is to get back into that market. The customer will get a boat is really funny to sail and also not too difficult to sail, easy to handle, but still with a lot of performance you can find. If you play a little bit with the boat, you practice with your crew, you can find a little more. You will not hit the wall and say, okay, now the boat cannot perform anymore.
There's a lot of special things around the XR41. We've really been thinking out of the box with this one. There's for instance, a lot of trimming options that are really racy, but we've kept them in a simple way, so they are also easy to use for the sporty cruiser as well.
Inspiration for the project we're in right now was IMX 40s, IMX 45s, where we saw boats that were able to win regattas, and actually today I see those boats circumnavigating the world.
Historic by X-Yachts to do dual purpose. My boat in the beginning of the season is set up for race. I empty the boat, I have no doors, no cushions, everything is out. And then when I come to my summer holiday, everything comes in, the nice things, the hot water boiler comes in, so you can have hot water on the boat, hot showers at the back, and really a comfortable sail with the family.
This project has differed a lot from what we normally do at X-Yachts. For 45 years, we've basically been doing everything ourselves. And I think that differs a bit from the market in general. We needed the best from the business. So we teamed up with various partners, that being Nord Sails, that being Javier Jordanez on design, that being Max Gurgel on optimizing the ORC. So very deliberate choices on partners. And I think that is what will bring us the results in the end.
Our main focus is always to optimize the performance versus rating ratio. We try to be fast on the water and slow on paper. We ended up at a semi-parametric geometry model where we basically started from a set of base hulls, and then we applied kind of data mining and machine learning techniques to decide which of these geometries was best with regards to the performance versus rating ratio.
So a project where I have spent so many hours to design the correct boat. How can we have a race boat that is able to win races and still can be converted for a sporty cruiser for the weekend with your family? I'm really interested to see all this theory which we have put in the boat. How would this work out in the reality?
The XR41 will also be a much more fun boat downwind. It will go back to the X79 99 times where you actually surf downwind with these boats.
Definitely looking forward to sail on the XR41. And
it will be super strong in ORC and it will be super fun to sail.
Once again, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to us. It's free and it makes a big difference as to what we can do on the channel. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date with new content. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and of course our website. By the time you see this, we'll be on our way to Barcelona for the America's Cup. We're going to be there until October when the winner is decided. So join us for what promises to be an outstanding event. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well. Until next time.